All right, I'm here with the Pokemon Master, Jessica. Jessica, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, just living the dream, taking some sweet time from playing to be here. So.
Yeah, I've had to get any Pokemon content. I mean, normally Taylor would be always involved in Pokemon content too, but he's not this time. But you are kind of getting every new Pokemon game pretty much. So I had to bring you on here to talk about this. We're talking about Pokemon Legends Arceus, of course, or Arceus. Wait, which one is it? Because you're playing the game. They say it in there. I always forget.
Uh,
Arceus or Arceus?
I think it's Arceus. I say Arceus.
Okay.
I'll be honest though, I definitely have not been playing with it loud enough. I'm just reading the subtitles.
Yeah.
So in my
Fair
mind, I'm
enough.
just going with the Arceus.
Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna get right into it. So I have three questions for you right off the bat. One, how much have you played? Just I don't know if like Switch usually takes a few days to get your hour count, but just roughly how much you played. Which starter did you pick, and what are you thinking so far?
Yeah. So probably only about 3 hours in. My Amazon unfortunately did not come until about 2 days ago, so haven't really had much time to play.
Yep.
Uh, that being said, uh, I'm definitely one of those people that I couldn't tell you exactly how long I've played because I've just really invested in that first area. So
Yeah.
I picked Rowlet, and I will say that my reason for picking that is because I didn't in Sword and Shield. I haven't played with him as my starter in those games, so I was like, oh, this is like the perfect chance to actually try him out and see what he's like. And then it was overall kind of general thoughts was my last question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're 3 hours in, like, I don't think there's much of a spoiler warning that's necessary. So yeah, just what are you thinking so far?
Yeah, honestly, I am in love with it. This has definitely been one of my favorite games in kind of recent dates. Don't necessarily need to count remakes in that. I mean, Shining Diamond and Brilliant Pearl and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same thing. And then going back to Sword and Shield, it's more, it's new Pokemon, it's fun, but it's generic. It's the same thing. This is amazing. I like I said, I've spent a whole my entire time just kind of really playing in those first little areas. So, I guess some kind of spoiler. You have your Pokedex. You have like missions. You have to catch a certain amount without being seen, catch a certain amount in the dark, catch a certain amount after hitting them with an attack, things like that. So I've really just been investing time and trying to
Mm-hmm.
catch Pokemon in all these different ways. And there is some element of shiny hunting. So just looking for seeing what we can get to spawn and finding what's in those different areas. Honestly, I am super behind getting another game in this style of like the open world where you can really see what's there and run around and kind of interact how you want
Mm-hmm.
with different things.
Nice. Yeah, one thing I've watched some streams and stuff, and I'm kind of curious. Like the seems like one part of it that's different is that the Pokemon are kind of moving around the world, which I mean in Sword and Shield they do that. So I don't know what the difference is exactly, but yeah, you're more about like sneaking up on them, and you don't necessarily have to battle each one to catch it. So how does because that's like no Pokemon game has done that element of it before, and so how does that play? Is that something that you like the addition of? Do you think it adds like a layer to it?
Yeah, so basically you have some Pokemon that they'll have like an aggressive nature, which means you are forced to engage in a battle with them, and then some that you can just throw a ball at no matter what. So basically, you have two options you switch between. One is to throw a Pokemon, or one is to throw a Pokeball. So you can sneak up on something and try throwing a Pokeball, and you might catch it. If not, you can always just choose to throw a Pokemon at it instead and engage in a battle that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then even still, even once you engage in the battle, you can still run like around your Pokemon while it's engaged in a battle. You don't even have to go through menus to throw Pokeballs. You can just quick throw Pokeballs while your Pokemon's in battle.
Yeah.
And it's different in so in Sword and Shield, you still, you have your kind of just your path. You have four squares one way or the next. Where this is very much Breath of the Wild esque, where you know, yes, you see the Pokemon, but you can go in any direction. It's not just, okay, I'll go two squares over and avoid this thing walking back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, but there's tons of Pokemon. It's not just, if you think about the size of a screen, in Sword and Shield, like it's just different. It's a wider view. You can just see more of what's going on and what's happening. And then I guess the other piece of it too is you can use your Pokemon to interact with things a lot easier. So basically, if you see a tree with berries on it, you can just throw your Pokeball at it and your Pokemon will come out and attack it and pick up berries. And you don't need to stop. You could throw a Pokeball or throw your Pokemon at a tree and then just keep running. And if you catch it, it'll auto collect it. And if you don't, then it'll just pop back out.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good addition. I actually was playing like some Sword and Shield a few months ago. I picked it up, and yeah, it's enjoyable, and I like the kind of open area aspect of it. So, and I mean, you're early on, but I've heard that this game, like, while it is open world in that sense, like there still is different areas that you go into, like that are I guess I'm guessing they're gated behind like loading screens or something.
Yeah.
Or is it okay? So I don't. Have you encountered that part of it yet? I'm guessing not that early on, maybe, or maybe you haven't just elected to stay in your first area.
Yeah. So basically, I guess to kind of expand on that, so you have your first area, which is like the village. So basically, your headquarters. So that'd be where you go. You can go to the pasture, which is where all your wild Pokemon are. So like the PC bank. You can go to a workbench to craft things, etc., etc. And then you have to load screen into the wild. And then from that, I mean, there's kind of multiple parts in that first area. So, there's your parts with, spoiler, you have to catch a Bidoof, a Starly, and a Sphinx. So there's kind of that area. And as you play long enough, you'll find there's a Weasel, Ponyta, Drifloons, things like that. But then as your storyline kind of progresses, you'll go over a bridge. So it's still the same area. There's no loading screen there, but then now you're entering into a place where there's Zubats and Mime Juniors and there's other new things. So there is an open world concept in a way, but there's definitely, I can already see when I look on my main map, where the limitations of this area, the first area, are going to be, and there will be more loading screens outside of that.
Does that feel weird, like going from a town to the open world, like having to have a loading screen for that? To me that seems like kind of why did they need to do that? I don't understand. What would be the purpose of that?
Their thing is that how they word it is that you transfer from like the safety of the town to like the safety of the camp in the wild, and then that's where you load into and travel out of.
I see. So it's not like they would be next to each other in the world.
No, so it's not like I can look and see the town right there.
Right.
It's, you get to the gate and you talk to the guard and he's like, where do you want to go? And then all of a sudden you're in the middle of a mountain and there's a little tent and a bonfire.
Nice. And then, those areas are pretty expansive. That's good.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people complain about the visuals. Just not impressed with how it looks, how like maybe there's kind of one tree that's copy pasted a million times over. How is that? How are you feeling about the visuals of this? Like also like just compared like did you play Shining whatever and Brilliant whatever? Did you play any of the remakes?
I didn't. I wasn't a huge fan of Diamond and Pearl, so I didn't bother with that. I did do whatever the one before that was.
Like Sword and Shield would have been, and then like I guess.
Well, I did Sword and Shield, and I did like Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah.
And
how about Pokemon Snap? Do you play Pokemon Snap last year?
Yeah, I love Pokemon Snap.
It was really
solid remake.
Yeah. So where does this rank in terms of those games?
It is definitely, now that you pointed out, copy and paste. Like 100%. It's the exact same tree over and over again. That might kind of ruin it for me now that I've had that pointed out. But
I'm just thinking, like, obviously when I'm watching Twitch stream, it's not going to be the same quality as someone like playing on their OLED or playing on their TV or something like that. But to me, it just doesn't look that great. And Pokemon, I think we kind of expect that, like they kind of churn these games out very quickly rather than taking a ton of time to make it a super polished thing. But yeah, I mean, if it sounds like it's not like taking you out of the experience.
No, the more so the one that has been for me, and this is understandable, but is kind of the load radius. So, for example, I saw a Ponyta, and as I was running to it, like a Shinx attacked me, and so then okay, well I'll deal with that. And then when that was done, the Ponyta had walked, and so it was no longer my load radius, and I'm like, I don't know where this thing went, and so trying to run around to the point where it would get into my load radius again, so I could even find it. So that for me, like I would prefer if I could actually see, like, if I'm looking with my naked eye and I can see a tree over across the river, why can't I see, maybe if it's a small Pokemon like a Wurmple or something, that's understandable. But when so they have the huge, big level 40 monster Pokemon, right? Even those, like their load radius, like this thing's huge. Why can I not see it?
Yeah.
Right now, why do I have to be within a certain distance for it to appear?
Yeah, I felt the same way with Sword and Shield. So it sounds like it's kind of a similar vibe in terms of those open areas.
So I'll be honest, I didn't invest a whole ton of time in Breath of the Wild. I just didn't get to it. So I don't know kind of for them, both being Nintendo comparatively, if you could see everything on the screen at all times or if that was the same feel.
Yeah, you can definitely notice the draw distance, but I don't think it was too bad. Yeah, I it's hard for me to compare to this game because I've only watched like Twitch streams and stuff and haven't played it myself. But when I was watching the Twitch streams, I'm like, man, that grass is like 20 feet from this person, and it's like loading, and like that's a bit silly. Where I feel like Breath of the Wild was maybe a bit more optimized than this one was, but who knows? Maybe even on the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild, it was much worse or something. I'm not too sure.
That that being said, I mean, I have seen some people, will randomly, be playing and all of a sudden out of nowhere a shiny will load, and it's just like it would be nice to be able to see that without having to get in 2 feet from its face.
Yeah.
So for me, things like that are kind of a drawback, but I didn't notice so much the tree and kind of the world copy pasting so much. And I don't know if I'm just not far enough in, but the other one is, everything Pokemon wise besides the alphas seem to be the same size, and then I'll catch something and it's like, you've caught one that's small, and I'm like, was it small?
Yeah, that's weird. That seems like maybe pretty easy to shrink that like character model down and just keep everything the same. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that because each Pokemon does like have different stats, and we don't really think about it normally.
So it could just be that I'm not far enough in that I haven't noticed it enough. But like I said, because the Dex portion of it is one of them is to catch 20 of a tiny version or 20 of a large version, and maybe I just haven't been able to tell that yet. But
right. Have you been playing on a TV or are you playing handheld on the Switch?
Handheld.
Okay. Yeah. And do you have the OLED or are you rocking the OG Switch at this point?
I have the V2. I got the one where you're on an island, Animal Crossing.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That one's beautiful. Nice.
So that being said, I do have like a Pokemon split hand pieces, so I don't even get to see the pretty colors of the Animal Crossing one, but
but you can brag about it on a podcast.
Exactly.
In terms of the combat, so I think that was one thing I was surprised about, just because I watched some of the trailers, but not all of them, and I think they probably did like a direct where they went through like, here's all the details, and I don't think I watched one of those. But when I was watching some streams, I was surprised to see that there still is like just a ton of turn-based combat. I just thought it would all kind of be more, third-person action adventure combat element to it. Which it sounds like when you're talking about like, okay, you got to go collect 20 of these Pokemon. Like that's great that you can just throw a Pokeball at it and not have to go through that whole rigmarole of knocking them down to a little bit of HP, or if it's weak, just like getting into a fight and immediately throwing a Pokeball just takes so much time. So it sounds like that part of it is pretty cool that you can kind of skip that for lower level Pokemon. And I guess as you rank up, like in your level 40, and then you're trying to, or I guess your Pokemon are level 40, and you're trying to catch something that's lower level, maybe once again you can kind of skip the combat phase. But how does that play for you? Because like, what were you? I guess you probably knew that there would be just the classic turn-based combat in here.
Yeah, so I have a couple things on that. So the first one, so when you're playing, it's the same button to either throw a Pokeball or to throw your Pokemon. And so you have to remember to to switch between the two. And there have been more than a few times where I've wanted to just throw a ball and keep running, and all of a sudden I've thrown my starter Pokemon, and I'm like, oh well, shit! Now I got to deal with this.
Yeah.
So that has definitely been probably my biggest pet peeve. But that being said, you can still move around when you're in it, but your Pokemon and then the Pokemon you're fighting just stay stagnant. And some Pokemon, like I said, the ones with the aggressive nature that you have to engage in, you throw your Pokemon and then you can still throw a ball right away. So it is the same idea. Other than that, I mean, it feels kind of the same. You pick if you want to do a move, then they have their turn. Yeah. The one thing that they have added is now you can do either like quick attacks or heavy hitters. I don't know if you've noticed that in your streams.
Like the agile thing, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, so ones that are faster, so you get a chance to be able to like double attack, or ones that do more damage, but it takes longer to reload, which is kind of a cool choice. Yeah. And that just kind of happens as you level up. You get the ability to do those. Or you can just do a regular attack and use a normal amount of PP and everything like that.
So I know you haven't played too much, but anything else you want to talk about while you are here to talk about this game?
Yeah, so one of the other kind of cool things, obviously, is they've introduced like the crafting bench.
The classic,
which is
every open world game has to have that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do you have like your pack around, just like your little work toolbox, so you can make Pokeballs and things on the go, potions, revives, things like that, which is kind of fun. It adds that element of having to, scavenge for acorns and rocks to be able to build things. So I do appreciate that, especially if I'm in the middle of an open world. I don't have to worry about getting back to town to go and find, a store or a Poke Center, things like that.
That can be pretty tedious for sure. Like,
yeah,
I gotta go back to base to heal or to switch out Pokemon, things like that from the older games.
Exactly. And then the other thing is you can actually, there's kind of two pieces of damage, right? So there's damage to you and damage to your Pokemon. So you can actually get attacked by things in the wild if you're not careful and black out in the middle of an open field, which, because at first, there was a few times I didn't pause or anything. I'm like, I'll just leave this sitting here and then come back. And, there is fall damage, which I wasn't actually sure if I was going to expect that or not. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's new.
Can't just run over cliffs. I tried. And then they've also added, kind of some fun things, like as far as, I guess in Sword and Shield we had it too, changing outfits and being able to do different poses, things like that, which is fun. Some of the other nice things is right off the bat, like I'm already at the point where I can just go and buy moves from my Pokemon. So you don't actually have to search for TMs or things like that. You can just go and pay to learn new moves, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah, they have, similar to any kind of open world, your little side missions, which has been the other thing that I've kind of spent most of my time on. So, complete the Pokedex for this Pokemon, or catch this Pokemon and bring it to this person. Yeah, overall, it's an open world, with all the elements that need to be used to make it fun, but it's Pokemon. Yeah. It's like everything that I want from it, minus the copy paste that's now been pointed out to me.
Well, I mean, that's every open world game is going to have that anyway. It's just like how well they implement it so that you don't notice it. And if you hadn't noticed it so far, that's pretty good. And that's that's the cool thing about this is they're taking a lot of, I don't know if I'm going to say risks actually, because they're just taking things that other games have already done 100 times now for the last 10 years, but they're doing something different. They're changing up their formula in a lot of what sounds like good ways. So yeah, I'm sure this is just like a sign that if they keep going ahead with these, I don't know if this like Legends is going to be its own separate series or whatnot, but I'm sure that they'll take these ideas, they'll learn lessons from this one, and the next one will be like even better, hopefully. Seems
Yeah,
like that's
and
what Pokemon does. They iterate very slowly, and you'll get 2 to 3 games every year. And it might take, if you skipped a few generations, you might come back and be like, "Holy shit, they've changed a lot." But if you're playing each one, it's like you're just taking a couple steps up the staircase. That's about it.
Well, and I think something that's good about this, the Legends, if they do decide to keep it with this name and this kind of idea, is that it's not just one gen. You have just kind of a mash of everything. I don't know that this game would be quite as enjoyable if it was just all Gen 1. It's like, oh, great, I get to, have a Charizard again. The fact that I could pick between gen starters from 3 different gens is part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
And I know, that has been one thing that I've heard actually quite a lot of people are happy about. They're like, finally, I don't have to have a game with a Charizard in it. No offense to Charizard.
I'd like to see Charizard. He'll probably show up at some point, right?
I could see this game having DLC, for sure.
There you go. Anything else that you'd like to add?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, 3 hours is not the most amount of time for an open world game generally. That's like you're still getting started. You're still in the intro. And Death Stranding, you haven't even like left the first cutscene yet at that point. So if you want to come back and talk about it more after you've played some more, then we can absolutely do that. And I'm sure the fans would want to hear your updated takes. So yeah.
Yeah, well, blame Amazon for being late.
Yeah, I'll easily blame Amazon for anything. They're awful. So yeah, that's about it, I think, right? Any other last final thoughts here?
Final thoughts is, if you are into Pokemon, definitely check it out. It's it's worth the money for this one. Nice. When you're starting to get Diamond and Pearl, it's like, I already own 2 copies of this game. I don't need it again. Yeah. But it's new, it's fun. It's been, a good time sink just to burn around that first area and get to really explore in a different way.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm sure the fans are excited to hear your thoughts when you've played some more. And who knows, maybe this is like a Game of the Year contender at the end of the year. We'll wait and see.
The GV Game of the Years? Probably not, because I got to fight Travis on that, and that's not going to happen.
If these games ever went on sale, I'd probably play more of them. But I'm still like 15 hours into Sword and Shield, so I still have a lot to go on that path before I pick up another Pokemon game. But yeah,
I want to just ask you then.
Yeah.
What was it that? Was it just price point that made you not want to get this, or was it because you would think, open world and Pokemon, it sounds like just a big seller just on that alone.
I mean, I think for me, it's like I'm still so early in Shield that I'm like, I haven't even played this game yet. I feel like I've done a few gyms at this point, but I'd want to beat that game first. And I mean, even then, like I got Shield at some point. It's like it's not like it's any cheaper, I maybe got like a little bit off, but like it's been out for like years and they don't put it on sale. So I don't know, maybe I'll pick this one up someday because people are liking it even with the issues of it. But yeah, I think I'm just still on the Shield train at this point.
I think too, with a lot of people beating this already, I think you'll probably be able to get one secondhand. I don't think it has the same extended replayability for people that aren't like shiny hunting and dex collecting.
Yeah, I'm not into that. I'm just I'll play a little bit, try to get my favorites, and that's about it.
Well, thanks for having me, and I look forward to hashing out some more details once I've had a chance to play a little longer.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah, thank you as well for joining me. And then, so if this is on YouTube, this is the end of the episode. If you're listening to the podcast, we're going to cut back to the rest of the episode. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.